All right, in Dubai, the one, the only Pablo Hernandez. How are you, my friend?
Good, Regan. Good to see you, man. After a long time, we didn't talk. We
So
didn't
good,
see each
so
other.
good. So good to see you, bro. I've got to talk, first of all, about this video which came out yesterday, the Burj Khalifa. How did you get involved in that?
Man, that was very funny because when we post the video, everybody thinks that Pablo he jumped the Burj Khalifa, like he did a big thing. But actually, I was there just as a support crew,
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, I was there as the team behind the scenes, just helping the jumpers do their thing. It was a training jump for a stand.
Yeah. For
For a
what?
stand that was going to be performed for a commercial that was going to be shot.
Ah,
They were training for it, and I was there just to do, the air control with the radios, just
yeah,
helping the man getting the hands dirty, and then
yeah.
after the work was done, then it got offered to me like, hey, you want to just go and have a jump too?
And you just happen to have your wingsuit with you.
Yeah, more or less. They told me that it was a few days job,
Yeah.
and the night before the last day, they offered it to me, and I was like, perfect. Yeah, what a great opportunity. It's once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So yeah, the video is doing great in social media, but as I said, like it was not my show. I was
It
just
is
there
now.
yeah, I was just there to help the others.
Tell me a little bit about, I mean, you've done lots of base jumps, lots of skydives. How was it different? What's special about it?
I think what is special about it is the location, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
the Burj Khalifa is the tallest building in the world, man. It's massive. If you have been to Dubai, and I'm sure you probably have even been to the top with the
I haven't
elevator.
actually. I've never been up it. No.
It got cut there a little bit.
I know. I've not.
Yeah,
I've never actually made it up there. You don't hear me? You hear me now?
Yeah. Let me open up the door here.
Is that for the Wi-Fi connection?
Yeah, maybe. Should be better now. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, I've never been to the top of the Burj.
Never been to the top of the Burj?
No.
Yeah, I think if you're a skydiver and you jump from planes, from 12,000 feet, it's not really worth it to pay a ticket to go to the top, and see the height.
Yeah.
But if you have been to Dubai and you have seen the building from the bottom of it, it's just massive. It's incredible, right? That human beings have built that stuff, that kind of huge, massive building. It's just insane.
Yeah.
So the location is very impressive. It's legendary, and I tell you what, I think what makes it really different and special is the last climb, like the last 200 meters.
Yeah.
You are climbing through the stairs on the inside of that huge tube, inside of the antenna.
Yeah.
You are climbing there. It's quite narrow. Like it makes you feel like you are almost like you are in a submarine, like everything is metallic, everything is cold, and you are climbing the stairs, and it's a long way. Like those 200 meters through that channel, it looks like a really long way.
Yeah.
So 45 minutes climbing, and then you get to the top, and then you imagine, Burj Khalifa, huge, massive building. So the top is going to be very glorious. It's going to be massive. There is going to be a lot of details and architecture, and no, not at all. Like once you get to the top, there's nothing, like there is just not even antennas. There is not cables. There is just that like circumference that you have to climb over the top of that. And then there is nothing else there.
Wow.
The whole huge, massive building underneath you.
Oh, man.
Like you are alone there, like you are free and you do your thing. So it's that those last 200 meters, they are definitely worth the climb, and worth the adventure.
Do you have any problem with heights? I know a lot of skydivers do. I do personally. If I'm up a tall building, I'm not very comfortable. Are you okay with being high up on things? Does that not bother you?
No, I think we are all human beings. I don't think we are okay with being at those heights looking down to the ground. We are not made for that. I think we all get scared one way or the other.
Yeah.
I was more scared during the working days prior to the jump, because I was there with climbing harnesses, doing the job, focusing on the job, but not having a parachute on the back.
Yeah.
And just being at high elevation, trusting a system that I'm not an expert with, like I'm not an expert on climbing and rock climbing harnesses.
Yeah.
So that was a bit more scared than the day I was going to jump, You know, the day I'm jumping, I have my wingsuit, I have my parachute, I'm at the top, it's game on.
Yeah.
I felt confident at that time.
Yeah. And then once you let go of the thing, once you're off and you're in familiar territory.
And once you let go again, you just realize like how massive that thing is, you know. It's so high that Vince and Fred, they did a full 360 to the tower with wingsuits. And the building is it's very wide, you know, it's massive, especially at the base. So to do a full 360 on it and carve around the building, it just shows you the immensity of the height, you know. It's over, that thing is over 2,000 feet. It's massive.
Oh, wow. Incredible. Yeah. So before we go back to the beginning, wife good, child good, everything's good with the family?
Yeah, man, family good, wife is good, daughter is good, enjoying family life. Things are changing.
Good, man, good. Pablo, let's go back. I've not really, you know, we've had many conversations. I've not really talked about when you were growing up, when you were little. I mean, your dad was a skydiver, you're from a skydiving family. Tell me about when you were little and your first realization that you were around planes and around aviation and around skydiving. What was that like?
Yeah. So my grandfather was a war fighter pilot. So he was a jet fighter pilot, you know, in the civilian war, Spanish civilian war. So that's, you know, beginning, I mean, almost the beginning of the century, right? The 20th century. And he was flying a Russian aircraft called Polikarpov I-95, I believe. The nickname of the plane was El Chato. El Chato means, in Spanish, means like a really short nose, no, like a short-nosed man. Yeah. Because it's massive. The piston engine was just massive. The radial engine was just huge, you know, and in comparison to the rest of the body of the aircraft. So, and he got shot twice in combat. Like, wow. He had to jump off the aircraft twice, and then the second time he had to jump off, he got arrested, you know, by the enemy, and he got put in jail for a few years.
Wow!
Until the whole conflict got dissolved and got free. So he was a skydiver. You know, you jump twice from a plane, you are a skydiver. You jump once, you are a skydiver. That's just how it is, right?
Yeah.
If you jump once, you know what it is. You are a skydiver forever. Yeah. At least that's how I want to see it. So he jumped twice in action, in war. Wow. And then, you know, the decades went by. He had his family, you know, he had his son, my father, and brothers. He grew his family, and then he decided to give as a present to my father and his brothers. They were three brothers. He gave them a skydiving course in the 70s.
In the 70s?
We go forward to the 70s, you know, like 1970 plus. And then they decided to do a skydiving course all together. My grandfather, my father, and my uncle. Those two were the ones that they decided to do the course. And then once they went to the skydiving club and they started the ground school, the theory, my grandfather just pulled out, you know, like, this is not for me, you know?
Yeah.
He pulled out of the room and then never jumped again. But then my father and my uncle started jumping. And then my father never stopped since. And then, of course, for me, I mean, just the classic story, you know, like a kid that grew up in drop zones, traveled with my father all around the country in Spain to all the different skydiving centers, locations, meeting all the national skydivers, you know, in the country.
Yeah.
And just living and breathing skydiving every weekend.
Incredible.
Until I got 11 years old, and I managed to do a tandem jump, you know, with a friend of my father. And then I kept doing a few tandems until I managed to do my skydiving course at the age of 14 years old.
Yeah.
I did my skydiving course. It was called the static line course, where you just attached a static line to the aircraft, and then you jump off it, and that line just pulls your parachute automatically. So
which drop zone was that? Which drop zone, Pablo? Where was it?
So Regan, it was not even a drop zone, you know, like it was not legal. I mean, in Spain, you need to be 16 years old, to do your skydiving course with the authorization of your parents.
Yeah.
So I had the authorization of my father because he was my instructor. So we did it at 14 years old, but it was not even a skydiving drop zone. Like my father just rented the aircraft. The pilot was his friend.
Yeah.
He had the equipment because he was running a club, a skydiving club, and then a club without an airfield. You know, like my father didn't run the airfield, or he didn't run a drop zone. He just had the club with a few parachutes, you know, and then he took one of the parachutes, took it to that airfield, attached the static line to the aircraft, and then threw me out of the aircraft when I was 14 years old. And that's where everything began for me, you know, all my skydiving life.
Yeah. 14. Were you hooked straight away? Did you know this is what you wanted to carry on doing? Or were you just trying it? How did you feel?
Yeah. So for me, because it was something I was seeing it all the way from the beginning, years and years. Imagine the frustration, right? Years and years at the drop zone, willing to jump, but not being able to do it.
Yeah.
So I learned all the theory, right? I was just the child asking 1,000 questions that knew everything about the automatic activation devices on the parachutes. I knew all the systems, and I knew how to pack parachutes, and I was packing parachutes already when I was 12, 13 years old, you know, packing parachutes, making some money doing that. So I was very knowledgeable about the theory because I really loved it.
Yeah.
And then when everything started, when I was 14 years old, I was terrified, actually. Like I was terrified, but I had to do it, you know, like that was the feeling. Like, I'm terrified, but I just have to do it. I have been begging for years to my father that I want to jump. This is the time. I'm not checking out now, you know, so I have to go forward. And I was terrified probably for the whole static line course. I was terrified. And then I think as soon as I started jumping alone, you know, in free fall, exiting the plane in free fall, I did a couple of those, and then things got much, much better. Yeah. Which is interesting, no? Because you would think that having a static line that guarantees the opening of your parachute will make you feel safe. And then when you jump out of the aircraft on your own, you would feel terrified. But for me, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
Static line was terrifying.
Yes.
But then jumping into the air and being in free fall on my own, then I felt safe, in control, because I was able to control my destiny in that jump, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. Did you know then it was going to be your life, your career? Did you have your eyes on that it was just going to be, or were you thinking about doing anything else in life, or did you know skydiving was going to be it?
Nah, for me, man, it actually, it was my obsession, you know, like skydiving was, it has been my obsession always, all my life. So I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, you know. Now I see myself, you know, where I live, the life I have, the family I have, the way I enjoy life. I think it was a great decision, the best, you know, it couldn't be better.
Yeah.
But back then, a lot of question marks, you know, like a young teenager, 14, 15, 16 years old. I started jumping a lot. I was going to the drop zone every day, started filming tandem jumps.
Yes.
You know, tandem jump is when there is a skydiving instructor that jumps with a skydiving passenger customer on his chest attached through a harness. So that's the commercial way of doing skydiving. You know, instructors make money like this, and then videographers, they film the jump, and when they land, they edit it and give it to the customer. So as a young teenager, that was my way to keep going, you know, and to make money and to spend the money on jumping again and being in the air all day long on the weekends.
Yeah.
So for me, it was an obsession. That's all I wanted to do. And the obsession was so bad that I just completely failed in academics. You know, my academics were terrible, like 14, 16, 17 years old. I reached 17 years old and my academics were horrible. And then it was those teenager years, you know, 16, 17, I was a little bit of a trouble kid.
Were you?
Yeah, a little bit, you know, because I had the money from jumping. I was living the rock star life, you know, and then just partying hard some weekends, not living a very healthy life on the weekends. And so there was a point where either I would carry on that city life, you know, on the city at nights, skydiving on the weekends only, or I had the chance to move to Ligo, which is a small town on the center of Spain, and there is nothing there, you know, there is no distractions. It's just a really small town and an airfield.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to just move there when I was 17 years old by my own and become a full-time skydiver.
Yeah.
With no distractions, no nightclubs around, just pure skydiving, pure sport. And that was the decision at 17, and it was a great one, man. It was a really good. I think
were you conscious of that? Did you know you were getting yourself out of potential trouble by doing that, by making that move? Were you aware of it, or did you realize it once you were there?
Yeah, I just didn't see myself carrying on with, living that life on the city and then just partying on the weekends and just jumping a little bit on the weekends. Nah, it was not going to work for me, So I just went full on.
Yeah.
Went to this town in the middle of nowhere and just skydive all day, every day, up and down. And I think that the question you ask, I think it's better to ask that question to my father,
Right.
Because for him, just imagine, like his kid, 17 years old, he's failing in academics. He wants to go, move, escape the house, go to a small town and just start skydiving. Now that I'm older, I put myself in his brain, in his mind, and I think a lot of people have criticized him, for letting me do that. Like, whoa, why you let your kid go to the, and just do skydiving full time, not go to college? Like how you let him do that, but now I think about, and he was smart, he was seeing the whole picture, he was like, this kid is here, not good influence here in the city. He was not living on that city with me. He was living away in another city because my parents were divorced. So it was a little bit of a tricky situation. And he totally supported it from day number one. He was like, yeah, kid, just go skydive. You're going to be good there. You're going to be safe there. You're going to be doing what you love and good things will come from it.
And now you're a father. You can process it from that angle, can't you? You can see from the other side.
Yeah, you can see it from the other side, and I don't think I will let my daughter jump when she's 14 years old,
Right.
That's just a crazy age, man. 14 years old, being able to jump from the plane on your own.
Yeah.
I think your view, your vision of the sport and the surroundings and what's happening at high speed, I think it's just very narrow.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think as soon as you get a little bit older, then you can start seeing more and more around you. At 14 years old, you are just full on charging forward, move out of the way kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You need to, for me, I was never too happy with little ones doing tandems, where I used to work. Sometimes you'd have really small kids doing tandems. And I always felt a bit uncomfortable with that because I don't think they've got it should be their decision, not the parents' decision, I used to think. But, that's a different story altogether. But so how did competition start for you? When did you start realizing you could be an athlete, a competitor?
Yeah, so I moved to the skydiving center when I was 17 years old. As I said, I moved there to start skydiving. I carry on working a lot, being an instructor, filming. I was doing 1,000 jumps a year, which is sounds like a lot, but it's just, I think, a full-time instructor. That's the number, that's the number you want to reach every year. Like make 1,000 wall jumps to be able to sustain yourself and have an okay life, So that's what I was doing, 17, 18, and I wanted to compete. I just wanted to compete. That was my desire, I wanted to compete. I wanted to be my best, the best. That was a dream,
Yeah.
Like real or not, possible or not, who cares? That was the dream. So that's what but I didn't have people to train with, that was the thing. Like in skydiving, there is many different disciplines. So there is disciplines where you can train and compete on a 4-way team. So 4 members, 8 people on the team, 8-way teams. But then there is also some individual events, individual disciplines where you don't need team members. So for me, I couldn't find people with the same drive, motivation, time, budget. It's just hard to get people together to do the same thing, So I just basically I was just like, okay, what discipline I'm gonna do? The one that I can do it by myself. Boom. And I chose one which is called canopy piloting.
Yeah.
Which is just basically navigating your parachute at really high speeds through different courses that are set on the ground with markers. With markers that you have to fly through them as entry gates, almost like the Red Bull races.
Yes.
Yeah, almost like the Red Bull races, but in a much smaller format, because we don't have thrust, we don't have an engine, right? So all that
Interesting.
speed.
What year are we talking about now? Because must have been the very early days.
So this is 2000, 2004, 2003,
Yeah.
2004. I started training, and then 2005 I went to my first World Cup of canopy piloting. I was 19 years old. There were two categories: the pro, and then there was the intermediate category.
Yeah.
Junior, like amateur. So it was like a team B, you know, like team A and then team B. So I joined that intermediate World Cup, and then I won it. So I won it, and I used that a lot in my advantage. I used it to get sponsorship, you know, to get my local skydiving drops on the place I used to work for. They sponsored me with jumps, so then I started just banging jumps, jumping all day long.
Yeah.
There were a few years where I did 2,000 jumps a year.
Wow.
Like one year I did 1,970 jumps, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's actually a lot.
Yeah.
And then that's it. From there, just I loved it. You know, that was my first experience, and winning is always a good feeling. You know, that's how everything started. I'm like, oh, this is easy. I want to just keep doing that. I'm gonna keep winning. I'm just gonna keep winning. And then I moved to the pro category, and I was not winning. You know, obviously, I was not winning. You know, like I was not doing great. You know, for the first year, I would say. So, and that hooked me even more. You know, that was what hooked me even more. I was like, man, this is really hard. There is a lot of really good people. I'm really far away from where I want to be, and I just got hooked. You know, I wanted to be my best, the best, and maybe I never reached that. You know, maybe I have never been the best, or maybe not even my best, but that was what driving my motivation all the way.
Yeah. Did you how did you learn? Did you get coaching at the time? Was there anybody looking after you, or were you just working it out for yourself?
No, I got a really good mentor at the beginning. A really good coach, a UK fella called Brian Vasher, British guy, who just showed up one day at our skydiving center in Spain, Lidio. He came there and he stayed for 1 week running some canopy piloting courses. So he was teaching us how to fly parachutes. I did a course with him, and I saw him landing full speed a few times, and I was like, I want to do this.
Yeah,
that's what I want to do. And then at the end of the week, you know, Brian was gonna leave, and he told me, "Hey, Pablo, I'm gonna compete at the World Cup." So this conversation was in August, you know.
Right.
He told me, on one of the dinners at night, the last night, he told me, I'm gonna go to the World Cup and compete. When is that? February. In February. So 6 months down the road, you know. And I told him, I'm going with you.
Yeah.
I'm going with you.
Was that South Africa? Was it?
No. Lake Wales, Florida, 2005, February 2005.
And this is a time of King of Swoop as well. This is around the same years of the King of Swoop.
Yeah. One of the first, I think the second King of Swoop was in summer 2005.
Yeah.
So my first World Cup was February 2005.
Yeah.
And I was flying a slow parachute in summer 2004 when I told Brian, I'm going with you to the World Cup. You know, I'm going with you in February 2005. And this is a 19 years old kid telling him, you know, that I'm going with you.
Yeah.
And Brian was like, no way. Like you are far away from being able to come to the World Cup, you know, like this is not going to happen, kid, forget. I went, you know, I managed to find my way to go there. They don't have the money to pay for expenses. So I had to get a bank loan, you know, like 19 years old, I got $5,000 bank loan. So that was the money I had. And I just went to the World Cup. I spent that money just to do that. And it was one of the, you know, like one of the best decisions in my life. Like if you look back to your life, everybody can do that. Like self-reflect on your journey all the way to where you are now. There is always decisions. There is always days in your life that you make a decision, you make a call, you make a turn here and you make a turn there.
Yeah.
Maybe I had 5 of those in my life, you know, maybe. I'm still youngish, like 35-year-old, not young, but I'm still there, you know, I have a long way still. I want to believe. So I can recognize like 4 or 5 turning points where I move into the next chapter, you know, and that was a huge one. 19 years old, bank loan. I'm going to the World Cup. I don't have the experience, but I'm going there. I'm gonna train and I'm gonna go there. I have 6 months to make it work, to make it happen. That was definitely one of my turning point decisions that took me to the next chapter in life.
Incredible. Just to open the door again, the internet's just a little bit glitchy, just to make sure we get the full power on the internet. Excellent. What happened after that, Pablo, then? So we're moving towards like 2006 and 2007.
Yeah, so we can move a little bit, you know, going back to this point of identifying the turning points in my life.
Yeah.
So we can fast forward a little bit, you know, like competing, training, competing, World Cups, World Championships, World Games, World Games, just traveling the world, training, competing.
Yeah.
And then we moved all the way to 2009. And in 2009, I joined a skydiving team that was it's called the PD Factory team, which is a team where I still belong to nowadays, you know, in 2021. I'm still there. I'm still one of the athletes. I'm still helping the team, supporting it, competing, not as often as before, but sometimes joining the guys, joining the young blood in those competitions, you know, to keep playing the game, man. So in 2009, I joined the team, and then that was another turning point, you know. It was a time in my life where I was a little bit down from the decisions I made in the past. I'm like, oh, now I'm here, you know, training, competing, but I don't see what's next. Like, I feel like I was a bit stagnant, you know.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do now? And then 2009, I joined this team, PD Factory team, and again, that was a big boost for me. I rejuvenated, you know, I got re-energized again, and again, I carry on training and competing with those guys. They were a big inspiration to me. They are still a big inspiration to me nowadays. And it has been a long journey, you know. With them, it was a really great journey all until now, but especially the first few years, you know, 2009 all the way to 2012.
Yeah.
Like those 5 years, those were really good memories, you know, I carry with me nowadays.
And that was your first exposure to Dubai, 2010. That's when all that started.
Yeah, actually the first DIPC, Dubai International Parachuting Championship, that was in 2010, right?
Yeah.
But I broke my ankle just before that.
Did you?
I broke my ankle, yeah, my right ankle just before that training, and I couldn't come, you know, so I was just watching everything on social media.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that, oh, Dubai looks amazing, right? What big, huge events they did in the past. They were awesome. They were the biggest skydiving competitions we have ever seen.
Yeah.
So in 2011, I believe I wanted to go to the DIPC again, you know, second chance, DIPC again. And guess what? I broke my left ankle.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Like both of them were proper fractures, you know, like fracture, surgery, hardware, screws, like the full on process.
Yes.
So again, I got injured just before the IPC 2011. Again, one more time, I missed the competition. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm just going to move there. I'm just going to go there, move there, live there. And sooner or later I will compete there. So I moved to Dubai in 2012. I got a job opportunity, you know, here in Dubai in 2012, and I have never left this place since, you know. So almost 10 years now. I just love the city, love the company I work for, Skydive Dubai, and then just really enjoy the lifestyle here, man.
I didn't realize that you'd moved there before you competed there. It's strange. I wasn't aware of that, even though I was there with you, so I should have known that. But wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I didn't come. I moved there. I think that my first DIPC was probably 2012. That's exactly.
Yeah,
I missed the first two because of injuries.
Yes, yeah. So then after that, you were in Dubai, and then Swoop Freestyle came along.
Yeah.
That was another avenue.
I mean, the 10 years in Dubai, we could talk about those 10 years here for years, you know, like this is just the land of opportunities. Like it has offered us skydivers like so many opportunities, events, stunts, projects, things that we could never dream with,
Yeah.
that we could not do it anywhere else other than here.
Yeah.
We have they have the resources, the passion, the vision, and they support all this kind of crazy, crazy healthy endeavors, in aviation.
So that's what you're doing now. You're in charge of special projects. So it could be anything. You could open an email one day and they want you to, I don't know, do anything. It could be something that completely we'd never thought of before.
Yeah, man, it's a very interesting job. So I have been doing that now for the last 3 years.
Yes.
So I'm basically just coordinating special projects. Could be demonstrations, exhibition jumps, could be TV commercials.
Yes.
Could be a simple social media marketing campaign for a small brand, for a local small brand, and we shoot some skydiving scenes, skydiving, shots for their commercial brand.
Right.
But yeah, the job is very, very interesting because it's always different,
Yes.
always different, and we always have to adapt, and we have to come up with new ideas. There is some rigging engineering on the back, behind the scenes that we have to work on skydiving tubes, flags,
yes,
all kind of paraphernalia that we use in our stands, But on the last 3 years, just to show you a little bit like how busy we are, on the last 3 years, we accomplished 3 different Guinness World Records, So
wow,
basically every year, besides all the commercial projects we do, we always find time for us to do something just for us, like trying to break one Guinness World Record a year. That's always the goal. That's always the challenge. First time was the biggest flag flown underneath a parachute, which was like 5,000 square meters, almost 5,000 square meters, which is just massive, huge.
Yeah.
Second time, it was a free fall flag, so a flag carried in free fall by the jumpers.
Yes.
Not as big, but still very impressive. And then recently, we just did the highest altitude jump with pyrotechnic systems at night.
Yeah.
So it was a great demonstration exhibition jump too.
And so it keeps you busy full time. You've got work all the time on these projects.
Yeah, I mean, COVID has been hard for everyone, COVID has been hard for everyone, even for us, even for Skydive Dubai has been tricky. So we all learn how to adapt, For me, it was easy, like the company, they told me, Pablo, we love you to be here. We love you to be here, but we don't have projects now, like the projects are really low. So you want to stay with us and help the operation, help jumping and instructing. So of course, thumbs up. I stayed here and I just finished a full season working again as a skydiving instructor, doing tandems, filming tandems, teaching students. I did 1,000 jumps in the last 9 months. So
wow,
I'm active again, because I was slowing down a little bit on the last few years, like the last 3 years since I'm running special projects. But this year has been great because I took a break from special projects and went back to the roots,
Yes.
Just went back to jumping, which is at the end of the day, it's what really matters, to jump, skydive. That's why we do all this stuff, right? That's why we live for.
And that's the key for life, isn't it? If you get the opportunity to switch up what you do, that you're not always doing the same thing, that is the key for life. I think I find that, if you can keep changing and keep doing things,
totally,
especially getting back to jumping again. So what do you see for yourself coming up for the next? I mean, you must have some things which are quite secret at the moment, but I mean, for yourself and for your family, you're happy in Dubai. You're going to be staying there, Pablo, for the foreseeable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I see myself in Dubai for a while. It's just we are just climbing up the hill again.
Yes.
Like we are super busy with our operations. We are doing 200 tandem jumps every day. We are busy, man. There is a lot of tourism again.
Yeah.
We are busy. The company is doing good. We are jumping a lot, and we start being busy again with projects. So good stuff, fun stuff is in front of us, ahead of us for the winter, the upcoming winter. We have to remember that this 2021 winter, it's the expo. Finally, hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have the expo in Dubai, and that's going to be a big booster for us with special projects and demonstrations, exhibitions. It's going to be a busy season next year, 1 year ahead of us.
Yeah.
And then,
Pablo, sorry, go on. You were going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say like that's the next year, but I don't really make huge plans for the future. Who knows, man?
Who knows?
This is where we are. This is what we are doing. let's make some plans for the next year, but that's pretty much it, you know.
Yeah.
Just I try to live responsible with my duties, my responsibilities, taking care of the family, you know, short term, long term, and just living life one day at a time.
Can't get better than that, my friend. Pablo Hernandez, muchacho, fantastic. Yeah. It's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Lots of love to the family.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Regan.
I'll see you
Thank you,
soon,
bro.
my friend. You take care, bro. Bye-bye.